Class, these are troubling times here at our university. This used to be a highly respected institution of learning, one where some of America's greatest minds have been cultivated. Inventors, entrepreneurs, Nobel Prize winners, the avant-garde of art and thought. But today, very few of you students are brave enough to speak your minds because you're afraid of facing either ostracism from your peers or outright expulsion from the administration for merely pointing out statistics that contradict certain protected political narratives, let alone expressing controversial opinions and preferences. And this obnoxious, prattling, highly vocal minority has added little more to the intellectual conversation but sanctimonious, unscientific platitudes that serve only to absolve one group from all personal responsibility and to scapegoat another. Our university's original design as a safe space was one where all students could think freely without persecution from religious, political, and cultural authority, the purpose of which was to allow all perspectives to be debated openly, not to win with sophistry, but to find the truth, the only phenomenon that unites us in this world. Not our genetic makeup, not our subjective experiences, just objective, observable reality. Today, I will be discussing a very human but very frail instinct: tribalism. Now, tribalism has aided us in our survival when we were primitive, small bands of hunter-gatherers. But it has been the greatest thorn in our side when it comes to maintaining a complex social order of millions of people with specialized talents. Now, tribalism can be viewed in all cultures throughout the... What the hell is this?
This man here's an idiot.
Hey, fuck you!
We won't tolerate any more weight-splaining from white supremacist professors like Triggerz here.
Yes, a racial bigot who openly condemns in-group bias. You're a genius.
By indoctrinating these students into believing the white demon's lies that racism is a problem for all people, he's trying to dismiss the atrocities and oppression that whites have perpetrated on persons of color for 500 years.
Like the raping of Nun King and the Rwandan genocide.
We are Black Lives Matter, and we are shutting down this lecture until our demands for a safer, more inclusive institution for students of color are met.
Yes, more segregation. The KKK officially offers you their support.
The KKK runs this racist, slave-built nation.
No shit. All 3,000 of them.
We will not allow for the voices of students of color to remain silenced.
But I've always held an open discussion at the end of every lecture.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
What chains? What the hell are you even babbling about? And why are you quoting Karl Marx?
Attention students. Professor McKnickers' regularly scheduled class has been postponed indefinitely due to his infraction of upsetting persons of color.
Yeah, what you gonna do about this black power declaring mutiny on your hate fat plantation? You cave-dwelling, smell-dick, calcified, third-eye having, invention-stealing, child-molesting, mayonnaise-eating, saltine caraca.
Mr. President, could you please call in security for potential chimp out here?
Mr. McKnickers, if any student of color was to physically assault you, it's probably because you were being racist. Be advised that you are being monitored for any potential abuse of your own white privilege.
Oh, so it is my privilege to have him kick my ass with impunity? How do you not see that the only one here who said anything racist today is Whistledick here?
Ha! More of that white demon deception. It's an established fact that persons of color cannot be racist. Cannot be racist. Cannot be racist. You cave-dwelling, small-dick, calcified, third-eye having, invention-stealing, child-molesting, mayonnaise-eating, saltine cracker. What bullshit? Racism requires power and prejudice. White people have power to oppress black people because they control the political and economic structure in society.
You just silenced the professor's voice in his own lecture hall, and the president will not punish you if you choose to hit me. How is this not institutional power?
How can a person of color have any institutional power here when all I see is toilet bowl complexion at every student desk?
You know, I could interject that others in this room have a complexion resembling the contents within said porcelain fixture, but I'll be the bigger man here. The reason why you only see white students in my class was because the black students demanded a segregated safe space a while back.
And your solution was to move the students of color further away from the professor? Typical.
I didn't decide anything. This stupid shit happened before you even showed up.
It should have been the white students here relegated to the proverbial back of the bus, because it was they who are only here because of their whiteness.
Oh, really? Class, if any of you are enrolled here due to white beneficiary affirmative action or received a Caucasian-only scholarship, please speak up now.
My name is Craig.
Okay, how about you?
How about me what?
Did you receive any assistance for enrollment here based on your race?
My grants from the Poise Foundation and the NAACP were well earned due to my SAT scores.
This school grants an initial 200 points just for being black.
Those 200 points I needed to offset the disadvantages that persons of color face by the institutional white benefiting racism here.
Actually, the Asians are doing far better here than the whites. That's why their SAT scores are automatically deducted 50 points. What do you want?
What do we want?
Yes, specifically.
Candy on.
Candy ready.
First, I demand that everyone here take a stand in solidarity against the brutal murder of yet another one of our beautiful melanin-rich brothers last night in downtown Centralia, Pennsylvania. Tandy, show photo. Leroy Jenkum, a beloved father of three, that Marie Povich could only prove, and on his way to becoming a student here at SJW University, was gunned down in cold blood by the law enforcement arm of the white supremacist system, just for being black.
Do you have a more recent photo of Mr. Jenkum here? Tandy, show photo update. Whoa.
Proof being that he was on his way to his grandmother's house, only 300 miles away from where this tragedy took place. Brother Jenkum had nothing in his hands but a bouquet of flowers. A bouquet of flowers! In celebration of his grandmama's birthday just 5 months ago.
Can we see the photo evidence?
Why, you'd never seen flowers before?
Just curious.
Oh, just as I thought. Your inferior Neanderthal mind just cannot comprehend the reality of racial oppression, even when a young black man lies dead from...
Yep. Tandy, show photo, please. Yeah. By any chance, did the police investigate a public disturbance before the shooting took place?
As if there's any excuse for unjustifiable murder.
Did Mr. Jenkum resist arrest?
My position still stands.
Did Mr. Jenkum assault the officer before the shot was fired?
There are codes of conduct that law enforcement officials are obligated to uphold.
So aren't there for every citizen? It's called don't break the law. But I guess expectations for self-accountability seem to only flow in one direction for you people.
You people? Is that a black thing?
I don't know, is it?
Racist.
Nope. Cultural bigot.
I don't get it.
Yeah, obviously. Has the police chief released any details on the officer who shot Mr. Jenkum?
Not yet, but we have our own computer-designed composite sketch of what this white devil mostly looks like. Tandy, show photo. This is yet more undeniable proof that Jim Crow never died, but veiled himself behind a thin blue line.
Alert! Centralia Police has just released a photo update.
Tandy, show officer's photo. Okay, this is why issues facing black America today are cultural rather than racial. Before the 1960s, blacks faced many examples of institutional discrimination and economic limitation. But regardless of this oppression, their communities were closely knit, their families were intact, they took civic pride, they valued education, and most importantly, with what little they did have, they were self-reliant. Immediately after the civil rights movement became a cultural success, economic mobility began to rise dramatically for many black families. Then two social events occurred that brought this advancement to a screeching halt. Lyndon Johnson's Great Society Initiative and the radical transformation of the black cultural identity. Now, Johnson's welfare programs may have lended assistance, but it came with a stipulation that no adult male could live in the recipient's household. This began the rampant single motherhood epidemic that cripples the black community even today. And with no fathers present, many young black males turn to gangs for guidance and fraternity. This is why masculinity within today's thug life culture seems so adolescent and horribly self-destructive. Now, when Martin Luther King was assassinated, much of black America gave up on his vision of unification and embraced Malcolm X's vision of cultural separation, which was their priority to do so, but a tragic mistake was made when revolutionary blacks began associating American education and professionalism with whiteness. And this becomes self-evident when blacktivists like yourself call every independent thinking, civic-minded, professionally sound black citizen who happens to vote differently than you do an Oreo. And your white supremacy narrative falls flat when nearly every other non-white demographic in America, including Nigerian immigrants within the medical field, are making a higher median income than most white Americans on average. This is because said groups do not associate the values of education, fatherhood, civic duty, and entrepreneurship with white people. They see them as simply methods to success.
Yeah, well, whites explain why these methods of success look so suspiciously peckerwood in the first place.
That's because these economic models were formed in pre-industrial Northern Europe and perfected in industrial America when it was 90% white. If Japan or China were to economically dominate the world tomorrow, you will quickly see their cultures influence the way we run business.
Enough of your white devil lies. Let the slanty-eyed mimic your slave ways.
Can't be racist.
We don't need your pasty-faced business practices in order to thrive as a people. We will establish a new economic model based on Pan-African consciousness. Tandy show photo. We at BLM have released the outline of our 6 major demands for a radical social transformation in every aspect of our lives, from political to economic to communal, so that all people of color can finally free themselves from the last vestiges of white colonialism.
Yeah, you made your demands public knowledge for over 2 months now, and I've already had a good read of this. Not only do you demand reparations and regular government funding for all your goods and services, but you want total, racially segregated control over every institution in your neighborhoods. You even go so far as to demand every black person in jail to be released, as if every criminal in there is an innocent victim of racially motivated false charges. But I found your quaint list to be rather long-winded, hyperbolic, and redundant at times, and I was able to condense this commie manifesto in blackface down to one complete sentence. Tandy, show screen. State of our lives, white boy! But keep sending us that free shit, because past. You say you want complete independence from the white man.
Right.
So how have you ever achieved this without self-reliance? Your only method of acquiring resources seems to be guilting white people out of their money.
Those reparations are owed to us for your decadent lives filled with leisure and excess solely upon the backs of our slave labor.
Now, kids, be sure to remind your grandfathers tonight of all the white privilege they enjoyed down in the local coal mines.
Mine got a black lung, Professor.
Well, except for you, Tommy.
Mine too.
Oh, and you too, Denise. And Ron. And Matt. And,
I'm not finished with my point. Our economic plan does not end with receiving monetary compensation.
Oh yeah, something about Pan-African consciousness?
Right. Those reparations will be our initial investment into a unique economy based upon our melanated enlightenment, goods, services, and systems of exchange that you albino rats cannot begin to comprehend.
Why don't you test out your assumption? You never know. I may learn something today. So, what methods and capital would distinguish a divine Negroid market from an evil Caucasian one? Anytime now.
Black Lives Matter! 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 Black Lives... Stand up and chant, Snow Pig! What, you don't think that Black Lives Matter?
Well, I think all lives matter.
Racist! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives... Oh, hold on.
Hello? Oh, hi, Daddy. Well, my African Studies professor has assigned us to participate in a protest demonstration today, so I'll be finishing my schoolwork a little early. Daddy, could you have me picked up at the Starbucks in about an hour? No, there's no helipad nearby. A limo is fine. Oh, and Daddy, could you please send Jose over to chauffeur this time? Oh, God, Daddy, anyone but Patrick right now? I've been so forced to converse with enough crackers for one day, and I'm starting to suffer from a little PTSD here. No, Daddy, no. Post-traumatic slave disorder. Oh, God, you are so basic sometimes. Look, Daddy, I gotta go. Yes, sushi is fine. Yep. Okay, bye, Daddy. Mwah.
Your father sounds very connected.
Ain't no business of yours or who my father is, white man.
Where have I seen you before?
Oh, you've probably seen many of my kind at the slave auction.
Oh, enough of your self-pity for once. I know who you are. You're Harold Blackbuck's son, Centralia's first African-American mayor. This all makes sense to me now. After almost 3 years of observing Black Lives Matter and their method of theatrics and rhetoric, what I found most paradoxical was how they seemed so convinced that America, as a nation, was one gigantic Klan rally, yet none of the protesters appeared even the slightest bit worried of a lynch mob hanging when frequently insulting, harassing, even assaulting the white bystanders. It was as if you didn't actually believe in your own narrative. But why? I'll tell you the reason. You are not trying to expose white privilege, but rather masking your own green privilege. It's no coincidence that so many social justice warriors come from upper middle class wealth, while the progressive stack that so many of you use to measure privilege places class very low in the scale. Rich activists such as yourself just shuck and jive and make foolish spectacles of yourselves because you feel so guilty of your own charmed existence when compared to your average white peer, let alone black one, and that you have to amplify your genetic identity and blow all race and gender issues out of proportion as a means of personal atonement. But proper atonement for any sin is personal sacrifice, not scapegoating. And so your engagement ladder makes you an asshole, causing unnecessary rifts and schisms among working class Americans of all stripes. I'm getting to the bottom of this. I'm calling your father.
Now, Professor, let's not do something too rash here.
Shut up, pussy. Tandy, call Mayor Blackbucks.
Hello?
Mr. Mayor, this is Triggerz McKnickers here at the university. How are you today, sir?
Oh, very well, thank you. How can I help you today?
Mr. Mayor, are you aware that your son has been disrupting my lecture with unfounded accusations of racism and threats of violence?
You mean Fillmore Jr.?
Junior, sir?
Yes, well, Harold is my middle name. As Junior informed me, this was all part of his curriculum today.
And how do you feel about your son claiming to be racially oppressed when his own father is the first black mayor of...
First black Republican mayor of Centralia. Yes, well, one has to admire the passion of our youth, in spite of their ignorance of the ways of the world. I personally would like him to focus more on his business major rather than his social studies electives.
Well, there are actually requirements here, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, really? Well, things have changed a bit here.
But not necessarily for the better either.
Yeah, well, although I don't agree with many of his transgressions as of late, I cannot in good conscience hold him against him. You see, he just recently found out that I am not his biological father.
Fillmore Jr. was adopted, Mr. Mayor?
No, Professor. His mother is his own, biologically speaking.
Oh, so your wife was previously married then, Mr. Mayor?
No, Anita and I were high school sweethearts. It's more complicated than that.
Your wife cheated on you, sir?
A little more complicated.
You're a cuck?
I like to watch.
A black cuck, Mr. Mayor?
Are you limiting my lifestyle choices based on the color of my skin, sir?
Nope, not my problem. I mean business.
Yeah, well, I have a very busy schedule, Professor McKnickers. So if there's nothing else I can help you with, I must bid you adieu.
Just one more thing, Mr. Mayor. Is Junior only half black then?
Well, of course not. Anita is also fully Caucasian.
May I ask who Junior's father is?
No, Daddy, don't tell him.
Why, is there something to hide?
Alert! An anonymous image file has been sent, titled Fillmore Jr.'s Real Father.
Tandy, show photo. George Soros!
It's true! It's true! Father tries to replace intimacy with money. Money, money, money. Money for our cause, but I feel used. I'm more his pawn than a beloved child. It's true. Father, why have you forsaken me?
Why are there so many trans Negroes in the BLM movement?
Sean King's my half-brother.
You're fucking a white male! So? You're a white man! White male! White man!